Hi, I'm Trish. Welcome back to my kitchen, and tonight we are going to make Date Me risotto. This is when you're not quite ready to break out the marry me chicken, but you'd like to see where things are going. Maybe you've been hiking, you've had coffee, and a few more dates are in order before we make a lifelong commitment. I mean, there's 8 billion people on the planet, right? Risotto is not the type of rice so much as the cooking method, but you do want to start with something that has a high starch content, and arborio rice is a really good one that we can use. I'm going to make about 3/4 of a cup. Traditionally, chicken broth is used in this recipe, and I try to be vegetarian in my recipes, so I'm going to use better than bouillon, no chicken base. So it's got a similar theme to chicken, but there's no actual chicken in it. It'll have the flavors that make you think of it, though. It has like sage and onion. You're going to need a cheap white wine, and I've got a Chardonnay. You'll also need some Parmesan cheese. I've got about a cup here. I've also got a cup and a half of cubed sweet potatoes. I've got some garlic, some sweet onion, and butter. Again, if I was an Italian person, I would not be using butter. I'd probably be using olive oil, but you all know that butter is my religion, so we're gonna find a way to get butter into my recipes. And for something different and a little more excitement and added nutrition, I have a little bit of fresh spinach, and my emotional support beverage tonight is sugar-free grape Kool-Aid. So let's get started. Now, this is not a set it and forget it recipe. You are going to have to stay with it and babysit this a little bit. We're going to start off with my favorite ingredient, butter. And we are going to melt that in our cast iron skillet. I use a Lodge brand. It's my favorite. I just think that this works better than anything else, and I think I've tried all of them. I don't get paid to promote Lodge, but it's just my preference, and I've cooked for 30 years. Next, we're going to add the rice. This is arborio rice, and we're going to just let it get brown a little bit. We're also going to toss in some onion. I've used half of a sweet onion. You can put in shallots if you prefer. We need some minced garlic, and of course, measure with your heart, as always. We want to make sure everything is coated with the butter. We'll give that a minute. Now here's what makes my recipe a little bit different. We're going to add some sweet potato. I'm keeping a careful eye on this. I want to make sure that my rice doesn't brown too quickly or too much. It's really starting to smell fragrant with the onion and the garlic. Okay, at this point, we want to come in with our dry white wine, and I'm using Chardonnay, and I am going to use about 5 tablespoons. Okay, now we're going to add the vegetable broth. I have about 2.5 cups, and we're going to add it just a little at a time. And this is what makes it labor intensive. You want to stir this until most of the liquid is absorbed, and then you're going to add a little bit more. And the constant attention is what makes it a little more complicated as far as recipes, but it's so worth it, and it's what makes it really creamy. You're bringing out the starch in the rice, and that will very much enhance the flavor. but you have to be patient and not rush this. After I chop my sweet potato, I do microwave it for a couple minutes to get it started on the cooking. For this next part, I've decided to speed up the footage because you've got better things to do than spend 40 minutes watching rice simmer. What makes rice and risotto different is that risotto is achieved by adding small amounts of water, covering it, and letting the liquid absorb. You repeat that several times and you use about 4 times the amount of water that you have to rice. You should get a creamy effect. We've slowly been adding our liquid to this 1 cup at a time. And when 1 cup is absorbed, then you want to add the next one. On your last cup of water, when the rice is ready and it's al dente, you want it to be a little bit soupy still, but make sure nothing is sticking to the bottom of the pan. And we are going to add in our spinach. And we've got it on a really low heat. And we're going to add this in a little at a time. We don't want to overcook the spinach. I just want to get it warm and let it absorb some of the flavor. And you're not limited to sweet potatoes and spinach. You can add whatever vegetables suit you. You know that. These are my preferences and what I have easily available from my garden or my fridge year round. Here we go, and the spinach is melting down into the rice. So you see, it's not a difficult dish to do, and it really has a lot of reward as far as taste for the amount of effort that you put into it. This is where you want to be careful to not overcook it because we want these spinach leaves to remain quite large and green and not overly wilted and cooked. Now I'm going to add about a cup of Parmesan that's grated. This is what makes it creamy. We want to stir this and make sure that the Parmesan is well blended so that the creaminess is throughout the dish. At this point, I've turned the heat off. This is a really excellent dish if you are vegan. You can use the olive oil instead of butter. And also if you're gluten-free. There's a lot of nutrients in here with the sweet potatoes, with the spinach, with the rice. Okay, now for the hard part. We're going to put the lid back on it and we're going to let it sit and steam for about 2 minutes. Oh, look how gorgeous this is. This is definitely date me risotto. Let's plate this up and see if it's tasty. Here's our finished date me risotto. It's comfort food without a commitment. I hope you make this and I hope you love it. Bon appetit.